Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Aidan. In this video I'm going to be having a look at my lawnmower, which just doesn't seem to run as it used to. So the revs aren't very stable. Seems like it's running quite rich. So it's got a fixed carburettor, so there's no fuel mixture adjustment on there. So what I'm going to do is basically just rebuild and maybe even just replace the carburettor. So yeah, I'm going to start it up, show you how it's currently running. Okay, so the mower in question is this McCullough M3540P. It's got a Briggs & Stratton 35 Classic engine. I haven't run it for a while because we don't have any grass here, so no reason to run it. So anyway, we'll start it up, see how it runs, and go from there. And we pull this lever which activates the ignition. Alright, so as you can see, there's quite a bit of smoke just come out of it. Excuse the messy garage, I'm in the middle of doing another project which will also be a YouTube video soon. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. But yeah, so the revs are kind of up and down. So it used to run nice and stable with the revs at a nice consistent level, and it didn't used to produce this much smoke. So yeah, I think it's time for a service. If the carburetor had any kind of fuel mixture adjustment, then that's probably where I'd start, but as this one doesn't, I think it either needs rebuilding or replacing. So let's make a start on that. So I've basically bought a little service kit. So I ordered this on Amazon. So it includes a new air filter foam. It doesn't contain any oil, so I guess we probably need to put some oil on it. A spark plug. Doesn't look like it's a particular brand, but hopefully being brand new it might run a bit better with that. Then we've got a new carburettor. It's not a genuine one, but it looks like it's decent quality. So may end up installing that. It comes with a new gasket and diaphragm set for the carburettor, as well as some new screws. And a new priming button. So it looks like that fits over the... I guess that fits in there or something. I'm not really too sure, or maybe it's just a spare. Yeah, it looks like this one, it basically just unclips from here, so I'm guessing that's a spare one, so that's quite nice to have that included. I'm not going to try and take that out just for the fear of breaking it and ruining it, but yeah, we'll assume that that's a spare. It doesn't come with any instructions as to what any of the bits are for, so I'm kind of going to figure it out as I go along, really, as I usually do with any of these projects that I do. So yeah, let's change the spark plug as the first port of call. So we'll change that, and then I'll tell you what, I might also change the air filter. So yeah, let's change the spark plug and the air filter, and then see how well it runs after that. Okay, so changing the spark plug is very easy to do on a small engine like this. So all I'm going to use is this one's a 14mm spark plug socket and a standard, I think this is a 3/8 drive ratchet. So first step is to remove the HT lead, or spark plug wire. So that just pulls off, very easy. Make sure a ratchet is set to anti-clockwise, and then just use the ratchet to break off the tension, and then we can just unscrew it by hand after that. So the spark plug looks a little bit dark. It's got some sooty build up on there, but it doesn't look like it's in bad condition. That's the new one in comparison, obviously shiny and brand new. One thing I haven't done is I haven't looked to see what the spark plug gap is supposed to be, but I mean, just very crude, just comparing it by eye, it looks to be comparable, I would say. So I'm just going to stick it in and see what happens, and if it gets to the point where it's still running poorly, then I will investigate the gap. So I've just screwed it in by hand, and I'm just going to nip it up with the ratchet. Don't want to go too tight with this because I'm pretty sure that's an aluminium head. Oh, the rubber retainer's just stayed on the spark plug. Sometimes that happens on these spark plug sockets. Reinstall the spark plug lead. Alright, so next I'm going to change the air filter. So another easy job to do. Just loosen this screw on top of the air filter housing, which is this black plastic box here. Then we can remove the whole housing, and if we split it open we can just see the air filter sponge there. So this one looks quite old. Yeah, it's obviously seen better days. Just for the purposes of fault finding, I'm just going to put this in without any oil. I need to find out what oil I need to put on there, and do that before it gets any real use. Because what happens is the oil kind of makes the sponge a bit stickier, just to make it a little bit more effective at capturing the dirt and particles that would otherwise end up inside the engine. But as I'm not going to be running it for very long, I'm not too worried at the moment. So okay, so it's got a new spark plug, new air filter. Let's just start it up and see what it's like as a comparison. Alright, so it's still running a bit poorly in my opinion, still chucking out a bit of smoke, so I think we need to dive a little bit deeper. Right, so I'm just gonna take the air filter housing off again, which will give access to the carburettor. So this is the carburettor. There's not much to it really on this one because there's no fuel mixture adjustment or anything like that, but what we have got is a throttle mechanism here which is linked to a governor, and the governor actually works by the speed of the cooling fan on the engine. So the faster the fan spins, the more airflow it generates, and it pushes a paddle against a spring. So basically as this paddle gets pushed, it operates the throttle, and I think, well, I'm assuming the faster the engine spins, more airflow, paddle moves further, and that acts to close the throttle. So the spring is trying to open the throttle against this paddle. So it's quite a clever but simple mechanism. But I'm quite sure that the problem is with the fuel mixture, because it smells. Obviously, you can't smell it through the camera, but it smells quite smoky. So yeah. We'll take the carburettor off and have a look at the diaphragm inside and go from there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's the fuel tank and the carburettor assembly. I think what I'm going to do is take this over to my workbench where we can get a bit of a closer look at it. Okay, so there's the fuel tank and attached carburettor. Well, I say attached, it's not really attached anymore. On the workbench. So it seems like the bottom half of the carburettor, so what you would normally consider the bowl, There's no float in it or anything, but yeah, the bowl is essentially built into the top of the fuel tank, and the upper and lower are just separated with a what looks like a gap. Oops, that's not very good. I've just dropped a screw into the bowl. Fish that out in a sec. Yeah, so it's separated with a gasket and a diaphragm. Oh, yeah, I've just pressed the primer bulb and a little bit of fuel's just dribbled out. So I'm going to go and just empty this, just so we don't get any leakage. Let's just retrieve that screw before I forget. What have I got? I've got some thin nose pliers, that should do. Just going to make sure that they're clean first, because I don't want to introduce any debris if I can avoid it. There we go. Yeah, so I guess this membrane is probably has probably failed. Now this little packet contains what looks like a new gasket as well as a new membrane, so I think we'll change both of those. I'm curious to see what happens if I just change these rather than the carburettor as well. So I'm just going to carefully remove the old gasket. Okay. Might just give the edge a little bit of a clean because there's some debris there. Any debris is likely to cause issues with the seal, so that will undoubtedly cause problems when the engine's running. So it looks like the new gasket goes on like that. I will now change this diaphragm membrane, whatever you want to call this. Yeah, so it looks a bit tired, shall we say. Couple of safety points, I would say. Of course, I haven't bothered to drain the fuel tank or anything, so and even if you do drain it, there's almost certainly going to be some petrol vapours remaining, so just be aware of that. I would advise against having any sources of ignition nearby when you're doing this, and also probably better to wear gloves. Now this was kind of folded up, which doesn't seem like the best way of shipping it, but hopefully it's okay. So I'll just lay it in place. Yeah, I guess it's going to be potentially tricky to get this to stay flat whilst I reassemble it, and the risk being that of course it's going to end up being folded over, so it might be better to just lay it on top of the or underneath, I suppose, the gasket on the carburettor. So looks like it needs to go. Yeah, looks like that. And what I'll do is I'll put the screws through, which should help to kind of pin it in place a little bit. Right, so I'm now going to put the carburettor top assembly back in place. I'm just going to have a peek just to see and make sure that the gasket and the membrane haven't become folded over, and it looks like they're okay. I'm going to tighten the screws in a kind of crisscross pattern just to try and make sure it tightens down evenly, and I'm also trying not to over tighten anything. Okay, so that's the carburettor reassembled, so we'll mount this back on the lawnmower, start it up and see what happens. And if it's still running poorly, I think what I'll do is change the actual carburettor itself. Need to remember to reconnect the throttle linkage. I'm sure it's easier to do that first. Let's try it. Little filly. Well, I think there. Grab the seconds, yeah, and it'll set you off, so you can just bolt, especially at the right. We get the brackets breather, which seems like it's all right, actually. It's strange. Okay, so that's so just worth being aware of that. Not sure what's your body, anything. So I'm reading next to the double springs. The associate didn't have any ones, unfortunately, so I can't change them, but they're okay, maybe one of these, the rest of it, I'm sure it's still fine. We can't see their bolts now. I think there's probably a specific torque for these, but given this is such a small engine, single cylinder, I'm not too worried about being torqued to the correct value, so I'm just going to nip them up. Obviously, probably best to find out what the correct value is, but I don't think that's too much, as long as they're fine. I've got a vague feel for it, I think that's just something about it. I've years of working on machines and cars and stuff. And this as well. Okay, so carburettor installed. Probably good to work. Okay, so I've just removed the air filter from the engine again and just got some 5W40 engine oil. And I'm just going to kind of squeeze the oil into the air filter sponge. Yeah, basically the oil just helps the foam to actually trap the dust. As you can imagine, on a microscopic level, the bits of dust get stuck in the oil, because obviously the oil's kind of sticky, if you like. So yeah, pop this back in, and then yeah, we'll give it another test. We'll take this part of the lead, so just install the air filter, and then we'll give it a test. So as you can hear, the engine's a lot healthier now, so it's running more consistently with a more stable RPM. There's less smoke coming out the exhaust. There's still a little bit, which I think is perhaps burning a little bit of oil, so I think maybe it needs new piston rings. So I may do that in a future video, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. And I'll also be doing some other videos involving other DIY projects, so various repairs and other projects. So another video I'm going to be releasing soon is to do with my little speedboat. So I'm making some brackets for the railings on the bow of the boat. So you can take a look at that if you're interested. So yeah, feel free to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or found it useful. Please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you on another video. Thanks for watching.